Success. It is a word that sounds beautiful when people say it. Everyone wants it. Everyone dreams about it. Everyone imagines the day when they will finally stand at the top of the mountain and say, "I made it." But what most people never talk about is the climb, the lonely mornings, the silent struggles, the nights when doubt sits beside you and whispers that maybe you are not good enough. You see, success is not built on the day you win. Success is built on the days you wanted to quit but decided to continue. There was a young man named Ethan. He was ordinary. No special talent, no wealthy family, no connections, no shortcuts, just dreams, big dreams, the kind of dreams that made people laugh. Whenever he spoke about becoming successful, people smiled politely. Some encouraged him, others secretly mocked him. They looked at his circumstances and decided his future for him. Be realistic. People like us don't become successful. You should lower your expectations. At first, Ethan listened. He wondered if they were right. Maybe success belonged only to people who were lucky. Maybe it belonged to people who started ahead. Maybe it belonged to everyone except him. And that thought became a prison. A prison made of doubt. Every day he compared himself to others. He looked at people who were already successful and asked himself why he wasn't there yet. He saw their victories. He saw their achievements. He saw the applause, but he never saw the years of sacrifice behind them. Most people don't. People see the spotlight. They don't see the darkness that came before it. One evening, Ethan sat alone in his room. The world outside was quiet. His phone was filled with images of people living better lives. At least that's what it looked like. Everyone seemed happy. Everyone seemed successful. Everyone seemed ahead. And for the first time, he asked himself a powerful question. What if success isn't about being ahead of others? The question stayed with him. It echoed through his mind, again, and again, and again. The next morning he woke up with a different perspective. Instead of competing with everyone else, he decided to compete with the person he was yesterday. Just one step. Just one improvement. Just one victory. Nothing dramatic. Nothing extraordinary. Just progress. And that changed everything. Because success is rarely one giant leap. Success is usually thousands of tiny steps. Most people quit because the steps feel too small. They want immediate results, immediate recognition, immediate rewards. But life doesn't work that way. A seed does not become a tree overnight. A beginner does not become a master overnight. A dream does not become reality overnight. Everything meaningful takes time. Yet society teaches patience less and less. People want results before effort, rewards before sacrifice, victory before struggle. But every great success story follows the same rule. First comes the struggle, then comes the growth, then comes the reward. Ethan understood this, so he started showing up every day. Not because he felt motivated, because motivation comes and goes. He showed up because he made a decision, a commitment, a promise to himself. And some days were hard, very hard. Some mornings he wanted to stay in bed. Some evenings he felt exhausted. Some weeks it seemed like nothing was changing. But he kept going, because he realized something important. The greatest enemy of success is not failure. It is inconsistency. Failure teaches. Failure strengthens. Failure reveals weaknesses. But inconsistency destroys progress completely. Every successful person you admire mastered consistency before they mastered success. They kept moving when movement felt pointless. They continued when results were invisible. They trusted the process long before the process rewarded them. Months passed, then more months. The changes were small, almost invisible, but they were happening. His mindset improved. His discipline improved. His confidence improved, and little by little, the person he saw in the mirror began to change. Not because life became easier, because he became stronger. That is the secret many people miss. Success is not about changing your circumstances first. Success is about changing yourself first. When you become stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more resilient, your circumstances eventually begin to follow. The world starts responding differently. Opportunities appear, doors open, people notice. But all of that happens after the internal transformation. And Ethan's transformation had only just begun. The mountain ahead was still enormous. The challenges ahead were still waiting. The storms had not arrived yet. But for the first time in his life, he was no longer afraid of the climb, because he understood something that would guide him forever. Success does not belong to the most talented. Success does not belong to the luckiest. Success belongs to the people who refuse to stop climbing. The climb continued, day after day, week after week, month after month. At first, Ethan thought success would simply require hard work. He believed that if he worked harder than everyone else, life would reward him quickly. But life had another lesson waiting for him. A lesson every successful person eventually learns. Hard work is important, but hard work alone is not enough. Because sooner or later, life will test your commitment. And when that moment comes, motivation disappears. Excitement disappears. Confidence disappears. All that remains is your decision. Will you continue, or will you quit? For Ethan, that test arrived unexpectedly. One project failed, then another, then another. The progress he had worked so hard to build suddenly felt meaningless. People who once encouraged him started asking uncomfortable questions. How long are you going to keep trying? What if this doesn't work? Wouldn't it be smarter to give up? Those questions followed him everywhere. At family gatherings, at social events, even inside his own mind. The hardest critics are not always outside. Sometimes they live inside your head. Every night, Ethan battled thoughts that tried to convince him to stop. Maybe they were right. Maybe he wasn't meant for success. Maybe his dreams were too big. Maybe he was wasting his time. The voice of doubt became louder than ever. And one evening, after another disappointing setback, he sat alone staring at the ceiling, exhausted, frustrated, confused. He wanted answers. Instead, he found a realization. He remembered something he had once heard. The moment you want to quit is often the moment you're closest to growth. At first, he didn't fully understand it, but now it made sense. Growth is uncomfortable. Growth challenges you. Growth forces you to become someone new, and becoming someone new is never easy. The caterpillar struggles before becoming a butterfly. The diamond endures pressure before it shines. The strongest trees survive storms before they grow tall. Nature itself follows this rule. Why should your success be different? That night, Ethan made another decision. He would stop focusing on outcomes. Instead, he would focus on becoming better every day. Because outcomes are not always under your control. But effort is, discipline is, attitude is, character is. Those things belong entirely to you. The next morning, he started again. Not because he felt inspired, because he had learned that success is not built on inspiration. It is built on discipline. Discipline wakes up when motivation stays asleep. Discipline works when excuses appear. Discipline continues when nobody is watching. Most people wait until they feel ready. Successful people act before they feel ready. Most people wait for confidence. Successful people build confidence through action. Most people wait for perfect conditions. Successful people create progress in imperfect conditions. And slowly, Ethan began to see a pattern. The people who achieved extraordinary things were not extraordinary because of talent. They were extraordinary because they refused to surrender. Every setback became a lesson. Every failure became feedback. Every obstacle became training. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? He started asking, what is this teaching me? That single shift changed everything. Because victims focus on problems. Leaders focus on solutions. Victims blame circumstances. Leaders improve themselves. Victims wait for rescue. Leaders take responsibility. Responsibility is a powerful word. Many people fear it. But responsibility is freedom. The moment you take responsibility for your future, you stop giving power to your past. You stop blaming luck. You stop blaming other people. You stop blaming conditions. You realize that while you cannot control everything, you can control your response. And your response determines your direction. Months turned into years. The journey was still difficult. The mountain was still steep. But Ethan noticed something remarkable. The things that once felt impossible were now normal. Challenges that used to scare him no longer had power over him. Problems that once stopped him became simple obstacles. Why? Because while the challenges had remained large, he had become larger. That is what growth does. Growth doesn't remove difficulty. Growth increases your ability to handle difficulty. A small storm can destroy a weak tree. The same storm cannot destroy a mighty oak. Not because the storm changed, because the tree changed, and Ethan was changing. His mindset was stronger. His discipline was stronger. His resilience was stronger. Most importantly, his belief in himself was stronger. Not blind belief, not wishful thinking, earned belief. The kind that comes from proving to yourself over and over again that you can survive hard things. The kind that comes from getting knocked down and standing back up again and again and again. One day, while looking back at the person he used to be, Ethan realized something powerful. The version of himself that once doubted everything would not even recognize the person he had become. Success was still ahead. The biggest victories had not yet arrived. But he had already won the most important battle, the battle against quitting. And anyone who wins that battle has already taken a giant step toward success, because life rewards persistence. Not instantly, not easily, but inevitably. The people who keep moving eventually reach places that quitters never see. And Ethan was beginning to understand that his greatest breakthrough was closer than he imagined. Years had passed, not overnight, not in a few weeks, not through luck, but through countless days of effort that nobody noticed. The truth is, success rarely arrives with a warning. One day you are struggling. The next day people suddenly call you successful. What they never see are the years in between. The sacrifices, the failures, the lonely moments, the battles fought in silence. Ethan understood this better than anyone. There were days when he had almost quit, days when he questioned everything, days when he felt invisible. Yet every time life pushed him backward, he found a reason to move forward. Not because he was fearless, because he refused to let fear make his decisions. That distinction changed his life. Fear never completely disappears. Even successful people feel fear. The difference is that successful people act despite it. They move despite uncertainty. They continue despite doubt. And eventually, that courage compounds. Just like effort compounds. Just like discipline compounds. Just like belief compounds. One ordinary morning, Ethan received an opportunity he had dreamed about for years. The kind of opportunity people call an overnight success. But he laughed when he heard those words. Overnight? There was nothing overnight about it. The opportunity had taken years to arrive. Years of preparation. Years of learning. Years of becoming the person capable of handling it. Because success does not simply appear. Success grows where preparation meets opportunity. And Ethan had been preparing long before anyone noticed. The opportunity led to another, then another, then another. Slowly, the life he once imagined started becoming reality. People began asking him for advice. They wanted to know his secret. What book changed his life? What strategy made him successful? What shortcut helped him get ahead? But Ethan always gave the same answer. There was no shortcut. People often looked disappointed. They wanted something easier, something faster, something magical. But the truth remained unchanged. Success is usually boring before it becomes exciting. It is waking up early when nobody is watching. It is staying focused when distractions are everywhere. It is continuing when results are invisible. It is doing the small things consistently long enough for them to become big things. That is the secret. And because most people ignore the small things, they never experience the big things. One evening, Ethan stood on a hill overlooking the city. The same city that once made him feel small. The same city where he doubted himself. The same city where people told him to lower his expectations. As he watched the lights shine across the horizon, he reflected on his journey. He realized something profound. Success was never really about money. It was never really about recognition. It was never really about proving people wrong. Those things were temporary. The true reward was the person he had become. The discipline, the confidence, the resilience, the wisdom, the ability to face challenges without fear, the ability to continue when others stop, the ability to believe when evidence is scarce. That transformation was worth more than any achievement, because success can be lost, money can disappear, recognition can fade, but the person you become during the journey stays with you forever. And that is why personal growth is the greatest success of all. Many people spend their lives chasing external rewards. They chase status. They chase approval. They chase validation. But the strongest people chase improvement, because improvement creates everything else. When you improve yourself, opportunities improve, relationships improve, results improve, life improves. Not instantly, but steadily, like a river carving through stone. Small actions repeated daily create extraordinary outcomes. As the sun began to set, Ethan thought about one final lesson, a lesson he wished every dreamer could hear. You do not need to be the smartest. You do not need to be the most talented. You do not need to have perfect conditions. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You only need one person to keep believing. You, because every great achievement begins with a decision to continue, a decision to improve, a decision to rise after every fall. The world belongs to those who persist. The future belongs to those who prepare. And success belongs to those who refuse to surrender. So if you are struggling today, keep going. If progress feels slow, keep going. If nobody notices your effort, keep going. If failure has knocked you down, stand up and keep going. Because the journey you are on may be preparing you for a future greater than you can currently set. Imagine. One day, people will see the success. They will see the results. They will see the victories. But only you will know the full story. Only you will remember the sacrifices. Only you will remember the nights you almost quit. Only you will remember how many times you chose courage over comfort. And when that day arrives, you will understand the truth. Success was never a destination. Success was the person you became while pursuing your dreams. So believe in yourself. Trust the process. Stay disciplined. Stay patient. Stay committed. Your story is not over. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think, and the life you dream about today may become the reality you live tomorrow. Keep climbing. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Because the best chapters of your life are still waiting to be written.